this is my problem with a one-race winner-take-all format. This is my problem with a playoff system in motorsports that still involves the other 30, whatever it is, competitors. You have a situation between two guys who are clearly no longer in a championship fight. It's clearly going to be Rhodes or Enfinger. But Corey Heim decides, I'm going to go get revenge on Carson Hocevar. If I can't win this championship, he can't either. And he wrecks him. Obviously, it brings out a caution. It neutralizes the field. It bunches them all up for another restart, and then chaos ensues. And the outcome has been altered between the two drivers that were in the battle for the championship. That outcome's now been altered based on something that neither of them did, that neither of them had any control over.
Because you let it be decided in a one race, Game 7, winner take all. And that's what you're inevitably going to get. That's what makes me the most upset. Just the stupidity that cost Grant Enfinger and GMS Racing a title, a sail off into the sunset. Like, there's nothing hindering that but an outside force that decided they wanted to cause chaos, and then everyone forgot how to drive for all the restarts onward.
And to your point, Brandon, on the championship format, imagine if you're in the Super Bowl and you have two teams going against one another, because people always like to point out, of 2007 Patriots, right? They had this undefeated season, and then they ran into the 10-6 Giants, a wild card team, and they couldn't beat the Giants on the most important day, and that's why they wouldn't have been deserving champions. But if you want to bring the racing comparison into that, like, let's say somebody from a 4-12 team randomly runs out on the field and tackles Tom Brady as he's trying to orchestrate the game. I mean, is that not what happens?
Yeah.
When Dylan Lupton loses a tire as Carl Edwards is cruising to the championship, and then that forces a caution, which forces a restart, and then Edwards blocks and gets turned, and Jimmy Johnson swoops in and takes the title. I mean, is that...
No.
You want to try to talk about the fairest possible analogy to a stick and ball sport. The Super Bowl does not have... The World Series we just went through with the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. You know, the other 28 MLB franchises were not out there on the field helping to dictate what happened between those two teams going for a championship. It's just, in my opinion, it is a nonsensical comparison to make, because the sports are just so radically different.
Yeah, but that would be boasted as a good quality. See, that's what makes us unique. We've got all the rest of them out there in the mix, changing it up, shaking the pot. Yeah. But yeah, it's also like, like at the Super Bowl, not even just that, it's like Tom Brady being out there, and then you get whoever the worst team was in 2007. It was probably the Cleveland Browns, just having a guess.
Yeah.
It's like then the Cleveland Browns come out of nowhere, enter in, and sack Tom Brady for no reason. Like, they weren't even in the game.
Yeah.
Or, a baseball player comes out and tackles Tom Brady. Like, you don't even go here. You're not supposed to be here.
Yeah. Well, and Zane Smith missing a shift on the restart and having his day end early on one of the overtime restarts, and that damages Ben Rhodes' truck. I mean, we could have that exact same conversation. Now, Rhodes was able to overcome that. The damage, fortunately, wasn't severe enough to take him out, but that's the same idea. That's something that Ben Rhodes had no control over. That was another driver in the field, and that very easily could have taken his championship away and given it back to Grant Enfinger. And those are outside forces that are having a direct impact on who we crown as our champion here. And I know it didn't happen in the Cup Series. I know Xfinity had to go through an overtime restart. I think Cole Custer certainly earned that, and we'll get into him here a little bit later on in the show, obviously. But
yeah,
I mean, what we saw in the Truck Series, I think, again, the irony is so beautiful that happens just a few hours after Steve Phelps said what he said about the format. But yeah. I think, just drawing it all back, of course you can blame a lack of respect in trucks, but I don't think the format is entirely blameless here, because you put these drivers into a box and force them to make moves that they might not make if what is on the line here and the importance of this one race, if that's not the format we're using.
Yeah, and take an honest look at it. Does that truly crown the true champion in the same way that other sports would crown a champion? Would they see that as a true champion? And I don't get it. I like the NASCAR media, but a lot of them are really good at being homers, playing for the home team, if you will.
Yeah.
They are so well versed, so good at defending this to the T, dying on that hill, defending the play-ahead format, no problems whatsoever. And if anyone calls up and says there's something wrong, they'll get shot down with a really good argument. They're masters at it.
Yeah. But and again, just want to really drive the point home here. I know we did at the start of a show, but it's not about Ben Rhodes. It's not about Cole Custer. It's not about Ryan Blaney. It's not about any of those three. They are
they're champions,
deserving, legitimate champions. Absolutely. The format's the same for everybody. But you look at how the truck race in particular played out. I don't know. I feel like that's the exact scenario that we talk about all the time. Is when you have all the rest of the drivers out there, and Corey Heim now has a personal vendetta against Carson Hocevar for what took place earlier on in the race that impacted his championship chances, and it directly affects the outcome of a new battle between Enfinger and Rhodes. That, I think, has always that's my issue with the system at its core, and I think that's what we saw on Friday night, and it led to even more insanity with the 4 attempts, quadruple overtime. I have to keep repeating that because I can't believe that that's how long it took, but that's what we got. It took 4 attempts to finish this race. Could have easily been 5, like I said. The flag man, I think Diego had that tweet that he sent out. Just even the flag man was done with the race and just bent over in the flag stand. I mean, it was exhausting. But I guess this is what some fans want.
And I could sense it even from the MRN crew and from the Fox Sports crew. They were tired of this, but they couldn't.
On the morning drive this morning, I think Bagley was saying when they went to commercial, they were communicating with each other, just saying like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And you still in the same breath can defend the playoff format. I don't understand.
But it's not the format's fault, Brandon. It's a truck series issue. That's what.
Okay.
And by the way, that's not to say it's not a truck series issue, but like I said earlier in the show, I think it's a combination of both. I think the problem that we see in the truck series on a weekly basis is exaggerated when we get to this time of year in this race in particular, or at least it has the potential to be exaggerated, and we certainly saw that on Friday night.
When you have more experienced drivers and you put them in the playoff format box, they have a less likely chance of making it look like a disaster. With less experience, your probability of a disaster is greatly amplified.
Yeah. No, and it wasn't that long. I mean, the first 2 years that we had this format, Xfinity and trucks were still using a full season championship format. So, we talk about, this thing's been around for 20 years. You're stuck in your ways. You're stuck back in time. I mean, for these 2 series, someone been around for 8 years. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that, who would it have been? Would it have been, I guess, Eric Jones and Chris Buescher in 2015?
You would know better than I.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I don't know that anybody was looking at their championship seasons and, saying, oh, well, they didn't earn it through a playoff format and going out and winning the championship race. So, they're what are we looking at them here as legitimate champions for?
Yeah, I still argue like the problem with it is like you just have to be an ace at Phoenix Raceway and you can win the championship.
Yeah, well, but I think you saw that.
Me.
I think you saw that at Homestead with Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
Larson was, he's so good at running that high line that it was just like, if he can just get to the championship 4 in that Ganassi car, he would win. He would win it every year.
Yeah,
and obviously he has one now anyway at Phoenix with Hendrick. But that's why if we're going to keep up with this format, and I don't just say that because I don't love Phoenix as a finale track, I think we need to start rotating the championship race a little bit. Let's go back to Homestead for a year. Let's maybe do a real throwback, and can't say that now, can I? Because it races like a super speedway. I was going to say go back to Atlanta, but I don't know if you want that now. But
the problem is
the way it does.
The problem is if you take it to different finales, you're going to get different champions because it's different variable. That's just that's the problem I have with it. Multiple problems.
But don't we want different champions, right? We want parity in the sport. how we move forward here. Because I don't think I'll just close this segment out here with what I tweeted at the end of the night, or at the beginning of the morning, I should say, because again, it went well past midnight here. If you like the playoffs, I respect your opinion as strongly as I disagree with you, but I understand where you're coming from. If you like overtime, I disagree with you. I think the race names should mean something, but I respect your opinion and I understand your perspective that you want a green flag finish. If you want more of what we got Friday night, look, I'll always respect your opinion here, but I can't say I understand you. This is what we want? Are you kidding me? How can you look at that as a race fan and say, yeah, tearing up all those trucks, making people stay up as late as we did here. That was one of the best, most all-time classic finishes, and that's what true NASCAR racing really is. And we want more of that. We want that every single year. If that's what you're saying, this weekend, I simply don't understand you. And I
really want to talk to those people. I genuinely want to hear what made Friday so amazing to them, because I'm really clueless on that.
I will say this about the truck race. It's been a long time since I've seen NASCAR Twitter that unified.
Unified in saying it's bad. Yeah.
Yes. There's so much toxic negativity and toxic positivity and toxic people going back and forth with one another in a never-ending shouting match in the replies of tweets and everything. It's been a long time since I've seen a timeline that unified and just, looking back and saying, what are we doing here with these overtimes? And I will give it that, at least. That's hard to do in this day and age. Get everybody to agree on something. The one race format magnifies outside influence on the championship. Ernie Irvan cost Allison the championship. It didn't impact the others, and Allison was in that position for his full season results. Well, let's talk about 92 Atlanta, right? That the reason that race is so special is because that happened organically over a full season, right? Mm-hmm. When you manufacture the outcome to guarantee a situation like that every year, it's no longer special.
Less appealing, yeah.
If you have cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, it's no longer a special occasion. It's no longer a special meal, right? You can't look at the greatness of what's arguably the greatest race of all time for a whole number of reasons. But I think part of what makes it so great is that doesn't always happen. Part of what makes Formula One in 2021 so great, and that epic battle between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, is that doesn't always happen. Look at what's happening this year. Now, we've never seen dominance like what Max Verstappen is putting together. And thank goodness there's no playoffs in Formula One, because if anybody other than him was crowned champion this year, it would be totally laughable, I think. But, part of what makes what we got a couple of years ago so special is, we're not used to that. And it's a great, thrilling championship battle. It's great when we get them, but that's not always how the world works. So when you have a series that guarantees a battle like that between four drivers every year, it may be thrilling, it may be exciting if you're a fan of one of those drivers, but if you're a neutral, I got to be honest, I was not as hyped for championship weekend as I am for championship weekends in other motorsports.
But Ben, culture has changed. Other sports have changed. Times have changed, and you're in the past, and you've got to get over it.
Yeah, well, they've been telling me that for the last several years now, and if anything, I'm even further stuck in my ways here.
Just reminding you of the narrative.
Like you're entitled to your opinions as long as you respect my right to have mine, and I will always, as fruitless as the fight may be, I'll continue to fight for a full season points championship, because people were talking about, should we make the championship round a 3-race round, just like extend the playoffs to 12 races and have 3 races in the champion. I mean, I guess I would take that over the 1-race finale. I would take the original chase over the playoffs that we have now. But I still, and by the way, that works both ways. The old points formats where there were more points awarded for longer races, and the old F1 formats where it was only your 9 best results or whatever, and all the rest of the points were thrown out. I don't like that either. I think that's gimmicky. Just make every race the same number of points. Don't award points in the middle of the races. Don't really award bonus points. Tally up all the points at the end of the year. Whoever had the best overall season under one system that we don't change or we don't reset, that's your champion. That would be my dream system for crowning our champions.
It's clean, it's simple, but people
Easy
who
to
are
understand.
yeah, but people who are smarter than us think it no longer works, and they also have the power.
Well, there you go.